Welcome back, puppies. Trying something new today with the lighting. One of the lights that I normally use I actually have turned off. See if that makes for a little better video lighting. So I'm looking at how I'm going to base these today. I'm trying to brainstorm up some ideas. I know I want it to look kind of rocky, kind of mountainous. I don't want it real grassy or anything like that. I don't want it to look like a meadow. So it's going to have a very earthy look to it, and what I think I've come up with is it's going to involve some of this. I'm going to make it look like right down the middle is like a dry creek bed. Right down the middle is like a dry creek bed. And if you look at their feet, I mean, they'll be kind of straddling it, but yeah, so it's going to involve some of this Distress Crackle paint, clear rock candy. What I'm not sure about though is the initial texture for the initial earth texture, if I'm going to go with something like this or whether I was going to go with some green stuff, which I use on smaller bases quite frequently. I think because it's such a large surface area, rather than trying to knead up a bunch of the green stuff and then flatten it out and then level it, because the lip here is pretty short, or not a very high lip, pretty shallow. I think this stuff would actually work best. It would be easiest to get on and to kind of level. It just means waiting on this to dry. It'll take a little bit longer. I can't work with it as quickly. But yeah, I think that's where we're going to start at. I'm going to start putting some of this down and go from there. So welcome back, puppies. And this is our goal. As I was experimenting, I found what I liked using some of this. Some Vallejo texture paint. I used dark earth and I really like that color, but odds are it's going to get painted over. Clean up the lip. Alright. And this is how we achieve that. It's pretty easy. Start spreading this stuff around. If we go over the lip, that's okay, because we're going to clean that up here in a minute as soon as we get it put on there. I hear a dog. I don't know if the camera picked it up or not, but somebody brought a mouthful of food into the room here and started munching it. Of course, their dog food bowl is right on the other side of the doorway there from my room. Okay, so overall I'm happy with this. As far as the level of it goes, I'm just kind of working that out right now. Nope, shoot, and then I go and bump it and get my finger in it. Alright, try to save some of that excess so we're not wasting too much. Just wipe it off the brush. I'm going to use this paper towel. We're not done with it yet. No, that's not a paid endorsement. Okay. So to get the texture we want, I tried using a packing sponge that comes with miniatures, and it left it too jagged, too high. So what I found works best is just taking a paper towel and going like this. And there we have it. As the paper towel builds up some of that texture paint on there, it starts to make the stippling effect a little more exaggerated, and I don't really want that, so I just find a clean place and tamp it down. And there we go. Wet the finger in the old well water a little bit here. Run it around the edge. Clean up. I'm going to get another clean paper towel with me. Try this with one that was used to wipe up some alcohol earlier. Some good old isopropyl from when I cleaned the bases. There we go. Welcome back, puppies. Showing you where we're at on the bases. I've done some work on them off camera. So the last video that I recorded was me putting down the textured paint here, the earth texture paste, and then what I've done is I've put PVA glue on the sides here, and then I've sprinkled baking soda, some little rock ballast that'll serve as kind of gravel that comes from Woodland Scenics, and then something that came in an Army Painter basing kit that's actually just cork to serve as like bigger rocks that would be probably fist size, maybe a little bigger rocks to a 28mm miniature. Not quite as big as a guy's head, but a little bit bigger than their fist. And then I have this big bag of bark from when me and my boys used to have these little fence lizards, and we used this in their cages along with some sand. So I just have a bunch of it left over, and I've been using it. It'll get painted up and it serves as bigger rocks. And then I tried using a crackle medium, and it's the first time I've ever used crackle medium. This is the crackle medium that I used. It can't remember how I came across of it, but it was one that was recommended for doing this sort of thing. And because that one that I have is clear, I don't know how well the cracks are showing up on there, and I'm hoping when I paint over them, when I dry brush, the cracks will definitely pick up. Because the idea is this is to look like a creek bed, right? And because I've never used it before, I wasn't sure if I should do it before I spray paint them. Well, I say spray paint, I'm going to use my airbrush before I airbrush them, or after. So again, this is my first attempt at using crackle medium for applying it to a base for a miniature. I've actually never used crackle medium on anything before now, so let it dry overnight, let the PVA glue set up overnight. So this one I applied it before I paint it, and this one what I'm going to do, or what my plans are, is to go ahead and airbrush this, the base colors, which I'll pull out and show you here in a minute, and then apply the crackle medium once that dries. But I'll probably mix in my highlight color to the crackle medium and then apply it and see how it turns out. Again, this is an experiment, because I know worst case scenario I just end up painting over it again with my airbrush, so I'm not too worried about risking it. Now let me find the colors. I'm going to be using some secret weapon colors if I can find them. Just a quick correction. I actually found one of the paints that I was looking for that I didn't find earlier when I was recording. I didn't want to drag out too much. This was again a secret weapon, but it's old mud, and this is what I actually used for the base coat. This is the one without the crackle medium or any dry brushing yet, and I didn't primer it, which was intentional. And this is the one with the crackle medium that I think actually turned out rather well. I don't know how well it's picking up there. Like right in this little area. Here, let me point to it with a brush. This area right in here. Turned out rather well. If I put a third coat on it. If I would have stopped at the second coat, it was even a little more noticeable, but I think with some dry brushing it'll pop right out, so I'm not too worried about that third coat that I put on. Because all this is going to be getting dry brushed, because I want to bring out the sand and the gravel. Well, the gravel now kind of sticks out because I didn't primer it. Some of the actual color of that original ballast is coming through. And again, same on this one, it'll be getting dry brushed, but when I add the crackle medium to this one, I'm going to go ahead and mix in some of my dry brush mixture. And I'm going to go with light dust for the dry brushing. It's kind of in the same spectrum, but a little lighter. And the caked dirt is kind of in between the two, but I'm going to skip it and just go straight to the light dust. I'm not going to worry about mixing any other colors to brighten up what I have here. The contrast here should be well and fine for what I'm trying to do. If not, I can always, add another lighter color in to bring up the highlight more. Alright. Buckle up. Here we go. Where's the camera lens pointing at? So the crackle effect worked pretty good. The idea of this being kind of like it's a dry creek bed running through here, and these are up towards the bank of the creek bed. I get a little bit of dry brushing on that, actually turned out pretty good. Turn this light out. I think it helps. Overall, I'm pleased with it, but I'm going to try another experiment now. I haven't dry brushed this at all, but the paint's dry on it now, so now I'm going to mix some of the light dust, which I used to dry brush the other one with some of the crackle medium in a cup, and then brush it on and let it dry and see how it sets up. And I really don't have any idea on ratio, so we're totally just going to be winging it here. I know I don't need much, because I think the crackle medium might work best with a thin coat. Bloop! Whoa, 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 whoa. That's probably way more than I wanted. Right there. Wipe a little bit of that up real quick. Alright. I don't know if I should add a little more paint to that or not. Let me mix it up. That's a lot of crackle medium versus very little paint. Oh, the crackle medium, well, I guess technically it's a crackle paint, and it's clear rock candy. So I keep referring to it as a medium, and it's actually a paint all by itself. I just got the clear version of it, but I definitely don't need to add any more paint to that. Definitely don't need to add any more paint to that. It's quite a bit. That paint mixed rather well with it. So mix it up a little bit more here. See how this turns out. This will be very interesting. Yeah, there might be some noise in the background. I get son's home. We're home for Thanksgiving break. That's when this video is being filmed. Got a son in there. Hey Brogan, keep it down a little bit. I'm making a video, okay? And they're cussing at his Xbox friends. Well, I'm getting some text messages. Maybe I should read those. I'm going to pull up thicker in other areas. Really don't have a plan of attack here. I'm just kind of making it fun. Alright, so try to smooth it out a little bit. This crackle paint's actually a very thick paint. It's a bit thicker than what I'm used to working with. Well, we will dry, and we will let this dry and see how it turns out. The reason why I want to switch over to a softer bristle brush, even though that other brush is the one I typically use for dry brushing, is because some of these bits here I don't want to brush them off, and those other bristles are like some real stiff hog hair. And they're a little coarse for this sometimes, especially because I didn't stick a good primer coat on there, and that primer sometimes acts as kind of an adhesive. Just coats over everything and helps it stick. Back and hit these rocks a little bit more. Alright, I like the way that's turning out. Well, now let's just see what the crackle medium does. The crackle medium, or crackle paint rather, has dried. See if we can get a close up there, if it'll focus. And it did exactly what it was supposed to, but with that paint with the light dust mixed in there, I think there's too much of a contrast between the cracked mud, the cracked dry mud, and the rest of the earth surrounding it here in the bed of the creek. So I'm going to hit it with a wash, and I'm going to be hitting it with some Agrax Earthshade. Let's see if I can knock that down a little bit. And lesson learned, I think I prefer doing it this way better. Just putting on the medium, then painting, and then dry brushing. Because it sticks out enough, but it's not too subtle. Of course, I probably could have gone with maybe a color that was a little closer to the base. But alas, I did not do that. So maybe we're not done experimenting. Maybe I come back and do that in another video. Excuse me. Maybe should have made a glaze of the original secret weapon color that I used. Might have been better. Better idea, I don't know. Because this is an experiment. I don't know, I'm learning. Just lather it on here. Make sure I'm still on camera. Dry brush it and we'll see how it turns out. All right, buck on, puppies.